All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody,
I'm Talon.
And I'm Shawenta.
and today we are covering the Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans, published by Marvel and DC Comics, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Walt Simonson, inked by Terry Austin, lettered by Tom Orzechowski, colored by Glynis Wein, and edited by Louise Jones and Len Wein. All right, so this is obviously a crossover of Uncanny X-Men and New Teen Titans, two of the most popular series from the two respective companies. At the time, it was published in 1982, so they were still not even at the main height of their popularity even. I think the New Teen Titans also were relatively, new. We read some from both. But yeah, okay, so the New Teen Titans at that point, that iteration of the comic, were 2 years old. Because it started...
Jeez, that's really soon.
Yeah. It started in 1980, and then the X-Men were 7 years old. So got a lot of years on them.
Not even starting school though.
Yeah.
Did you say starting school? I missed that.
Yeah, it's like 7. It's like a 7-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're right. True.
So weird to think about.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like the New Teen Titans, that team, of course, is so different from like the Teen Titans now.
Yeah, I mean...
I always forget about that, like the fact that, Wonder Girl's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
Kid Flash.
they're only like one, I guess, two with Kid Flash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are thinking of like, the TV show.
Yeah, I am, at
stuff.
least, yeah. Which would only make it two characters that are different.
Yeah, this is kind of like one of the most like favorite iterations, although also in even more recent, years in the comics, they've obviously changed roster as Team Comics do.
Yeah, with what's his name? Wow, Damian Wayne. There we go.
Yeah, Damian Wayne, and you might get a Superboy in there, or
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but so basically this, so like I said in the introduction, this is written by Chris Claremont, who is the main writer on the Uncanny X-Men for, since 1975 up to 1991 is the full run on the comics. And yeah, same with like basically this book, this crossover has all Marvel stuff, and the only liaison for DC was Len Wein, who is the editor on the New Teen Titans.
Okay. Yeah, I was very confused in the beginning because I was like, are these Marvel characters or DC characters? Because I had never heard of them.
Yeah. That was I knew who was who, but still I was like, this could be made a little bit more clear.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was interesting part of this was that it was a, similar to our other crossover episode, Batman 66 meets Archie. This is just a universe where both properties of the Marvel superheroes and the DC superheroes just exist in the same world and always have.
That really confused me a lot.
Yeah.
as I was reading it.
It's like that's appropriate for something like Batman and Archie, where it's like, okay, well, the Archie kids are just kids, that Riverdale can just exist in the world, but like you have to think that their history should be so different with two, what Avengers are actually on the Justice League in this world, it's so weird that they like are basically the same, everything is the same, but it's like, but there's just double the superheroes, don't worry about it.
They're both
Nobody
based in New
stepped
York.
on anybody else's toes.
Yeah.
No. The Teen Titans are more the ground level superhero, you know.
Yeah, and the fact that they've never ever like worked with the X-Men or don't really know about them. I'm like, I mean, I guess
They knew about them.
yeah, they knew about
We
them.
should talk about what actually happens in this story.
Yeah,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So Cyborg knew about them, and then I'm kidding.
Yeah, so
'Cause
basically
it's kind of X-Men focused.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
say.
Very much so, I'd say. But it does start with Darkseid, the
Mhm.
evil new god of the DC universe. And basically he is making a deal with Metron, the new god of knowledge, basically.
Oh yeah.
He sits in a chair called the Mobius chair, and it can basically like do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's-
It reminded me of Kang, the Conqueror, in this chair.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, but so they're making a deal. Metron, the only thing that he doesn't know as the god of knowledge is what's beyond the source wall.
Oh.
So Darkseid gives him the tools to get beyond the source wall. And that made a small rupture in the source wall, which bled a steady stream of energy. I am reading slightly off the Wikipedia page. Yeah. Was there...
So, to make a connection to modern comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The source wall came up again more recently with Dark Knight's Metal. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, it is often in the big, like, universe events.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major kind of thing. It is, like, I don't know, just the wall at the edge of the universe that, like, you know, it's like it has a lot of Green Lantern lore.
It separates the physical world from the metaphysical, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's also like kind of like, you know, where a lot, like, basically it's where like the Green Lantern lights came from originally and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's got a long history, and probably it's whatever it needs to be in the story.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so then Darkseid starts his plan to basically gather up the psychic remnants of the Dark Phoenix, which is a celestial force in Marvel Comics that is basically kind of like, you know, creation and destruction, and it inhabited the body of Jean Grey, Marvel Girl / the Phoenix. You know, she just started to go by the Phoenix after she got those powers, but she basically got overwhelmed by that power and became the Dark Phoenix, and she destroyed a sun that was, you know, had a planet with living creatures, sentient creatures.
I see.
And, you know, basically that was, you know, that led to her being judged by the Shi'ar Empire, and she had to, like, give up her life.
How do you make a court case defending yourself when you've named yourself Dark Phoenix?
It's like, well, you say, well, you know, I'm just stating the obvious. It's not a moral judgment.
I'm just goth.
Not evil Phoenix.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, that is not this story. That was the story of the Phoenix Saga, as it's come to be known.
Wait, when did that come out?
That came out... Honestly, I feel like it was at the beginning of the 80s, so probably like also like 2 years ago.
Or 2 years prior to.
2 years prior.
That's
Yes.
pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. 2 years.
Probably X-Men
Yeah.
are still
Probably
pretty
like
traumatized
1980.
by it.
Yeah. Okay. That made sense to me because, like, why would you bring that back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless it was that soon.
Yeah.
I mean, if a character dies, we gotta tease that they might not be dead.
True.
Okay, so
Ooh, I was right.
yeah, the beginning is
1980.
the villain establishment, right?
Yeah. Yes. And then we jump to the X-Men. Yeah.
Mhm.
The X-Men in the Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, which I
Mhm.
always find so funny that it's like they keep on like, yes, like, I mean, it's just a cover anyway, it doesn't matter, but I'm just like, there's only one youngster there.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so they go there, they're training in the danger room, and later on, when they're asleep in their beds, everybody has a nightmare, about the Phoenix, or about Jean Grey, and then Kitty Pryde, of the X-Men, she, is able to phase through objects and stuff. She actually wakes up and sees Darkseid.
Mm-hmm. But she doesn't know that it's Darkseid.
Yes, yeah, she doesn't really know what that means. You know, it's just like, I mean, he's a scary looking dude, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so, like, basically, she screams, she falls through the floor because she can phase through objects.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all of the other X-Men, like, come running, and then there's a knock at the door, and then it's Jean Grey, and, you know, as the Phoenix, and she's like, help me, please, you know, to Scott Summers, her former
lover.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what? Were they married?
No, I don't think they got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure they just didn't have time, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and then yeah, so they kind of are like, you know, that was really weird. They go to Jean Grey's parents' house, and they also had a similar incident happen.
Mm-hmm.
Jean Grey's father.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised that they showed any concern for Jean Grey. I was not aware that was their characterization.
Oh, that the
parents.
Yeah, no, yeah, they like Jean Grey.
Oh,
yeah,
liked her.
Yeah, they loved her.
Yeah, they loved their daughter.
Yeah,
I just always thought that they were depicted as, like, you know, when they found out that she was immune, they were like, oh my gosh, I hate you.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, this isn't really important to the story, but basically I think that they maybe were like kind of tricked in there, so they're a little bit untrusting of the X-Men, but they also recognize that it's like, okay, you guys are like fine, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
that makes sense with how the father talked to Cyclops.
Yeah. Especially after they came back from a space mission and she was just dead.
Yikes. That'll do it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of, I think after that we jump to the introduction of the new Teen Titans. They basically, I think it's Raven who sees the Phoenix in a dream. Yeah, a dream that she believes to be prophetic. She talks to Starfire about it. And then they also are talking to Changeling / Beast Boy, as a lot of other people know him from the cartoon.
Yep.
And he, like, kind of, I think that it was a little bit unclear, I'll say, but I think that Raven, like, sends the image of the Phoenix to Changeling's mind.
I think he was asking, like, hey, you can do that.
But he does make a pretty good approximation of what the Phoenix looks like. Not
That's
Jean-
debatable.
The point where upsets Starfire.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
I think I don't think the art really expressed that well enough, but
Yeah, we'll get to that, but yeah, basically Starfire gets just filled with rage at the depiction of the Phoenix and attacks Changeling, and Raven has to kind of be like, hey, whoa, get off him. And then Starfire explains that the Phoenix is like a murdering kind of force in the galaxy. She learned about it right before she came to Earth and joined the Teen Titans, and basically that it's like very evil and could cause like the end of the universe. It's very powerful. So yeah, they call a priority red alert, get the rest of the Teen Titans together, and except for Robin has a run-in with Deathstroke the Terminator.
You should bring that back.
Yeah, I think so. But basically he's kind of caught off guard a bit, and so he gets knocked out by Deathstroke because basically he has a bunch of parademons with him, which parademons are the henchmen of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And so basically the Titans find Robin after he doesn't come to the priority alert, and they they're like, well, we do need to find Deathstroke, but we also need to figure out this thing with the Phoenix, so we should do that first. One is just an earthly bad guy, the other is a universe bad guy, so we should have prioritize that one. So they go, basically they learn that the Phoenix was related to the X-Men and in some way, so they go to the mansion. Basically Robin is able to super sleuth understand that the X-Men live there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, but the X-Men have already left the mansion to try and learn about this apparition of Jean Grey and stuff like that.
Because I think they already have figured out that the person who's gave them nightmares is absorbing the resonant energy at various places that are that had Jean Grey's presence.
Yeah, where she had used a large amount of her powers, basically. Yeah, and so they've gone to go do that. They've left Charles Xavier, Professor X there, and he is asleep at the table, basically.
And that's portrayed as that's really bad because he's wearing himself out.
Yeah. And so
it just attacks him.
Yeah, they do.
Because I think it's subtext, but the Teen Titans probably think that the X-Men are evil people.
Yeah,
they say it at one point. They're like, they always talk about how they're outlaws and stuff.
Yeah,
we've never really thought them as villains, though.
Right? Yeah. And they're it's very unclear what their organization is, and I think that they some of them recognize that, Robin, but Starfire's well, they're supposed to be related to the Phoenix. The Phoenix is evil, therefore they are evil.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, she just goes for it.
Yeah.
She's a very passionate race,
Yeah, that's what she says. Yeah, and to be clear, race of alien.
Yes.
If you're unfamiliar with Starfire. But yeah, they start to kind of just attack Charles Xavier. Then a bunch of parademons come blast through the wall, basically.
Yeah.
And start attacking them. The parademons think the Teen Titans are the X-Men. They've come there to round up the X-Men.
Yeah. Specifically, I think his name is Jackson or something like that. The Ravager? The Ravager?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like kind of the leader of these parademons. Or lieutenant or something.
Yeah. Do you think that that's related to like how the Ravagers, Star-Lord?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not just a Ravager, and as in it, like, they ravage things. Yeah, no affiliation. So yeah, they do defeat the Teen Titans. They gather them up and then jump back to the X-Men. They have been able to basically deduce where the next point of, as they'll call it later, a siphon, a psychic siphon, will take place. And so they meet Deathstroke there, and kind of go one-on-one between him and the parademons. They are able to destroy the siphon, so he's not able to absorb the largest amount of resonant psychic energy
that Phoenix left behind.
Yeah. But he is able to defeat and capture the X-Men.
So, yeah, they sneak up on him somehow.
Yeah, and so they... Oh, right, also back at the X-Mansion, they defeated all of the Teen Titans except for Changeling. Yeah, who transforms into a parademon to, look like them and kind of, follow along to potentially free his fellow teammates. Yeah, and then so they come to trapped the X-Men to a giant machine. The Teen Titans just trapped in general. And they are on Apocalypse, the hell planet of Darkseid.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were on Apocalypse.
Yeah. And they basically start the machine using the psychic energy they've collected, and
they being Darkseid.
Darkseid, yeah. Darkseid.
Yep.
And
all the good guys are tied up.
Yes.
In pods.
And yeah, that zaps the X-Men using like emotional energy. It basically kind of brings forth their feelings about the Phoenix that help give even more power to summoning her. And so the Phoenix is summoned, and basically Darkseid and the Phoenix join forces to basically, they plan to destroy Earth and make it the new version of Apocalypse.
Yes.
And then, Darkseid kind of just teleports out with Phoenix, and once he's gone, they're able to easily escape. Basically, the machinery that was keeping them locked in was in some way powered by him.
Yeah. Also important to note that now the Phoenix and Darkseid are lovers. So
are they?
Well, is that not the...
They just keep calling each other like that. It's weird.
I don't even... What?
That you didn't, like... To me,
They're just like, my love, the machine is ready.
Oh. I did not see that, but also maybe I...
So, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't need to.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll have to look for that again, because I apparently missed that.
Doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. That is shocking to hear, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so they escape their confines.
Find the chair.
Yeah, they find the chair. They find Metatron's
Or Metron.
Metron's Mobius chair,
Mm-hmm.
floating out in space, and using, basically they kind of like propel an asteroid towards it so that they can reach it in space. And and Charles Xavier is the one that kind of is like, I can kind of psychically connect with it, but it is just a machine. It's not like a person or an animal.
But then the two lovebirds, Kitty Pryde and Changeling, are like, oh, I want to go home.
Flirting teenagers.
Yeah, they're just flirting. That's all. Which that led to like a funny interaction where, Colossus is jealous of them, and then
that's right.
and then Starfire, so Colossus says something in Russian because he's Russian, and then Starfire hears this, and she absorbs information through physical contact. So she decides to kiss Colossus to
She's
absorb Russian.
Yeah. Ooh, a new language.
Yeah.
Which to her, I don't think definitely doesn't mean the same thing that it would to a human being.
Yeah. And that makes Kitty Pryde jealous.
Sort of. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Well, because she has a crush on Colossus.
Wait, they're not brother and sister?
No.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
No.
I thought that because he said Katya, and I was like, oh yeah, that's your sister. Okay.
No, Katya is cat.
I see. Gotcha.
As in kitty.
Fair enough.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Colossus' sister is Magic. She's blonde and has a big sword.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Single big sword.
Anyway, though, yeah. So they, Kitty and Changeling are sitting on the chair together. They're talking. They're like, yeah, I just want to go home, and then suddenly they teleport with the chair, and then everybody's like, where'd they go? And then they teleport back. And we're like, we didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we found a way out.
Yeah. So yeah, and then they're like, okay, cool, but we can't all fit on the chair. And then they're like, they have Changeling change into a giant dragon. And basically everybody can sit on Changeling while he sits on, or like perches on the chair, basically. I think Professor Xavier still sits in the chair.
He's the one who gets the throne.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he can't walk around though, so it'd probably be kind of uncomfortable to sit on like or straddle a dragon.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They go back to Earth. They go to New York. They scan for the Phoenix, and they teleport down to Darkseid's underground lair, basically.
Right underneath a concert, which is the name I'm blanking on.
Yeah, New York Philharmonic.
Yeah.
Philharmonic. Yeah. And then they have another run-in with Deathstroke, I think. And but pretty much they're able to get to the central area where Darkseid is, because they're able to take down, the parademons. They trap the parademons. Deathstroke, he almost gets captured, but, sneaks away.
Because his reflexes are too sharp.
Yeah, his reflexes are too sharp. And then, so they basically just do battle with Darkseid, the Phoenix, and Deathstroke as a team. And Raven and Charles Xavier kind of work on mentally battling the Phoenix, and the rest of them kind of physically battle Darkseid and Deathstroke. But yeah, they're ultimately able to take down the Phoenix with love. Yeah. The
It really is love.
Yeah. Yeah, and basically she isn't dead though. She's just like out of energy pretty much. Like I guess because she is like fueled by like anger and hatred and other negative emotions. Basically the love like canceled that out and now she's like, low energy. So Robin
She can't maintain her existence.
Yeah, she can't maintain her existence. Robin has the idea to be all like, you should reabsorb the energy that you shot at the core of the Earth, basically, that is going to trigger the Earth's destruction. That's, Darkseid's whole plan is to...
Yeah, when did that happen? I don't remember that. like I remember them saying that.
Yeah.
But then it's like absorb. What do you mean? What did he blast?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But yeah, she's like, good idea. I do want to stay alive, and so she does that.
These emotions.
Yeah, she doesn't even care at this point that Darkseid is getting like his butt kicked.
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter.
Doesn't care about her lover. And so she goes into Scott's body, and this is my understanding of what happened, right?
Yeah, well, first it's because even after she absorbs the energy thing that she blasted, it's still not enough to keep her. So yeah, she goes into Scott's body,
and she's like, "Ugh, the emotions are all wrong." If you guys have seen Spectacular Spider-Man, that was a reference to Spectacular Spider-Man.
Okay, I've technically seen it, but not enough to know the reference.
Right up.
I don't think it happened that way.
Yeah.
I mean, my understanding was that like she was like, "Oh, Scott, like there's too much love inside of Scott." I was like, "Okay, that's how I thought."
It kind of just conflicts with her identity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His memories of her versus who she is now. Something.
Yeah, she realized that she could never be as like good as, or not good in the moral sense, but good in the like put together sense, as who she actually was.
Also, Wikipedia says here, this results in Dark Phoenix simulation being flawed, and exploiting said flaws enables the two teams to drive a wedge between Dark Phoenix and Darkseid. Professor X and Cyclops convince what is left of Jean Grey's human consciousness that she is being manipulated, and she once again sacrifices herself to defeat Darkseid, repairing all the damage in doing so. Yeah.
Well, she gets so angry at being used by him, She just, like, dashes him.
Yeah, and basically, I didn't see the part, like, I mean, I understood it after the fact, but I didn't see the part where the Phoenix separated from Cyclops, but...
Oh, yeah.
Basically, a Phoenix carries Darkseid off. In a blink of the eye, they get to the source wall, and basically, as she, dissipates, she makes Darkseid a part of the source wall.
Oh, that's what that means. Okay.
The epilogue thingy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the wall. Okay, for some reason, that was my understanding, but I didn't see the word source wall, so it was like, oh, now we're talking about something different.
Yeah.
So the source wall is like both kind of like it's real and ethereal, but also physical. So it's like a literal wall.
Yeah, it's a literal wall that's like it's seemingly made out of stone, except for it's something much, much harder than stone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like pretty much impenetrable.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then Metron comes back in the epilogue, seemingly having found what he was looking for. Doesn't matter what that was. And the Teen Titans and the X-Men kind of just celebrate
Yeah.
And that's the end.
Mm-hmm. And Nightcrawler tries to go all philosophical, and Wolverine wasn't having it.
I guess, yeah. If you feel like that has story relevance.
It did, at least to
Wolverine
me. I was like,
wants a beer.
Wolverine wants a beer, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's the whole crossover.
Mm-hmm.
In a nutshell. What'd you
They
guys
don't really meet until the when they get freed from the restraints, right?
Yeah.
That's when
Yep.
they.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it's nice to actually meet you.
Yeah.
And first, and introductions were exchanged,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, what? I was so confused reading it because, like I think we said in the beginning, it was like these characters existed in the same universe, and they always have. But I was coming at it being like, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
And so I was like, did I miss another crossover? It was like, and I was trying to search for it, and nothing came up. And I was
No.
like, huh.
Yeah, no, they just have heard of each other before, but yeah, they've always existed together, but they've never met each other until this crossover.
Mm-hmm. Which I guess is technically possible, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's just so many heroes and villains.
Yeah, I'm sure it felt a lot more natural back in 1982 when there was there was a little bit more chance where it was like, oh, I've heard of in Marvel Comics, I've heard of Spider-Man, but I've never met him before.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's everybody in the superhero community knows everybody. You know, it's impossible to have any wrong interpretations about each other.
The first
literally,
no, never.
like you were saying, they're really recent. They're new series, right?
Yeah, that's
2
true
years.
also.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can probably assume that with a lot of comics, they probably haven't in universe been a team for 2 years. That's just 2 publication years for us,
That's true.
So they might have only been a team for 1 year, which is why Raven keeps talking about how I'm the one that gathered the Teen Titans, which is true. Mm-hmm. That is how it happened, but it's just all right, did anything else happen?
Did she gather the Teen Titans or the new Teen Titans?
The new Teen Titans. Yeah.
Okay.
The team in this iteration.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we read that story for the show.
We did?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you
So
were
the one
on
with
that.
all the gems or something.
The gems?
She's just this emotion and then this emotion, and they're separate.
That might have happened. I'm not sure if I remember all of those details.
We've read quite a few older comics from these series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how late in this crossover that they meet.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense. It's a little bit of we thought these were the X-Men, that's why we captured them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you dummy, that's the Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants them?
Okay, I guess if you come at it with the understanding that this universe says they existed and they've coexisted and they've always coexisted, then it makes sense for Darkseid to be like, you dummies, that's not the X-Men. But I'm like, well, how is he supposed to know?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm on his side.
Yeah.
Went to the place where they live.
Right.
And got attacked by some good guys.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a guy made of metal.
Yeah.
Cyborg. Okay.
Yeah. It was
Oh
kind of
God.
funny that they were all like, yeah, it must be that. Everybody else matches, except for the speedster. And I'm like, wait, no, it doesn't. I'm like, who's Robin supposed to be? Everybody. I'm just like,
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I didn't read the notes that clearly.
Well, so he ended up dying, which really means that he's just incompetent. So
Yeah. But yeah, I felt so this was 65 pages pretty much, including cover and a little bit of extra material at the front. And so it's pretty much 3 issues, normal sized issues, and a lot of it was exposition and setup,
Yeah.
setting up the villains, setting up the Teen Titans, setting up the X-Men.
The
Mhm.
mystery of what the villain's gonna do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this scene where like Changeling is literally in restraints being like, "Can you tell us what you're gonna do, villain?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I will."
I just love the part where Darkseid's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, when did my parademons look green?"
Yeah, it was pretty funny too.
Very quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Love the art.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, yeah, the story was just kind of like, it would have made a very good 1980s crossover cartoon. Like
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
that's the quality that I'm seeing here. Like, honestly, I don't think this even really fits like the quality of what like Chris Claremont was writing for, just X-Men.
Okay.
At the same time, I'm sure that this was probably like, yeah, I'll do it. You're gonna pay me, like
Interesting.
I care about my main series, but yeah, sure.
Super feels like that. Like, it feels like when artists or writers are like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna movie deal out of it."
Yeah.
Like, the inclusion of this concert and Phoenix being like the final firework.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
people want to see this animated.
Yeah.
I'll say, despite the fact that I liked the art, obviously, like, of its time, with some of the layouts, like some of those close-ups, I'm like looking at where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Constant talking/thinking
Yeah.
that are connected.
Uh-huh.
What the heck?
Yeah, you get a thought balloon that is connected to a speech bubble.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think like that?
I don't read like that.
It's like stream of consciousness, No,
She'll never suspect I'm lying to her because I am secretly evil. Hey, I'm not evil.
I'm always a fan of like older comics just for the way that they choose their words. Like they're very like bombastic. Like it's almost like college words in a way, but it's not. Like
yeah,
You
know what I
they're
mean?
just being dramatic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So like
They're like, this is irreversible.
yeah, or
Drama.
it's like oh man, what was the word that they used? It was like I can't remember. It started with a T.
What part was it?
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
You know who said it?
No. Well, no, it was the narrator.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like the narrator and how the narrator is like speaking,
Mhm.
is like
Yeah.
very dramatic.
Actually, I will say there is some times where like, the narrator is like even a little bit cheeky and just like,
Yeah.
jokey, especially at the beginning. It's like, oh, okay, this feels a little bit like, in the vein of like, just editors, inserting
Yeah.
into the narrative a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of the
Just
beginning.
Starfire being, at the beginning, I know she's trying to get that point across that's dangerous, but it's so intense. Our very existence is, the balance of good and evil.
Yeah.
That,
Mhm.
everybody's like, Starfire, just tell us what's going on.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm gonna say what I was gonna say in the beginning. I'm gonna get back to that. In the beginning, I thought it was funny that like it was Metron and Darkseid were like, it's like, oh, be careful, gods may not even know gods may not be. Oh my gosh, the words are escaping me.
There's some things that gods
Yes.
aren't supposed to know.
Yes, and then Metron's like, shush, you don't care about me, and
Yeah.
he's like, true.
Yeah.
but going back to Starfire, I thought it was weird that the Teen Titans were like, oh yeah, we believe you, Starfire. Like this is a real serious issue. When all Raven had was a dream,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my gosh, you dreamed about a phoenix? That's obviously the Phoenix Force. And it's like, I don't know, it's a dream.
Yeah.
Your friend is psychic and says that sometimes they can foresee the future.
Yeah, but she said that.
And they're like, I see the ultimate evil. And you're like, what a coincidence.
She said that after Starfire was already like, oh, we need to track this down.
Yeah.
I mean, all it took was Changeling to, like, look similar to the Phoenix.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And Starfire's like, I could have killed you right there.
Actually, you know what? That actually brings up a good point. Like, when you were saying about, like, Raven giving Beast Boy the image, like, my interpretation of it was that Beast Boy was doing an approximation of what he thought it looked like, not that Raven gave him the image. And so, if what you're saying,
he literally says something along those lines, right? He's like, keep describing it, and I'll try to do an approximation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if what you're saying, Shuento, of like, you know, Beast Boy actually appeared as the Phoenix, then that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I guess I wanted it to make sense. So
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought. But yeah, this
I think the art was like chose some of its images poorly in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, like, I liked the art. But the story itself, hard to understand fully sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Characters have these little asides. Also, the fact that they said they were going to destroy the machine and then try to, like, get some other superheroes to help with that delay.
Oh, yeah,
they just end up not doing that?
Yeah.
Which was really... I found that interesting. I don't know. I think I actually like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was when Phoenix, like, shoots all the energy, is gonna make all the lava go everywhere in Earth. That was one of the moments where I was like, there's only a little bit left in this series.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is gonna be like a cliffhanger, it's gonna continue. And I legitimately thought, how the heck are they gonna deal with this?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good sign. I was like, not sure what was gonna happen, and I was curious.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I did. Really, the ending, you know, like, it was good action, you know, but it was like, you know, and I can kind of, like, I understand that maybe this isn't really meant to be as much of a standalone. Like, they do take a lot of time to be all like, these are who these characters are, and these are who these characters are. But, you know, there's also little bits where it's all like, well, you know these characters from their respective series, so, you know,
now you get to see them handshake.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And the close-up on that handshake? Whoa.
But yeah, there's just like a lot of like story contrivances, you know, throughout, where I was like, really? Like, that just happened, you know? You just saw Metron's Mobius chair, you know? And...
Fair enough.
I still don't understand, because he's like, oh wow, they're actually pretty worthy foes. It's like, no, they stumbled across a chair.
True. My interpretation of that was actually that Mobius kind of like underhanded or undercut Darkseid.
I suspect that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with the epilogue thing.
Yeah, that his whole intention was to have Darkseid be defeated.
It's like rolling your car past a place that somebody's locked up in. They're like, oh my god, a car! And you're like, I wonder how that got there.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it is like, you know, because we do get, like, it's not like he was like, I didn't actually, you know, go past the source wall. So I didn't really like that it was like, we don't get to know what he learned, you know, past the source wall. And also, I just gotta say, if I was doing this, I would have done, you know, as we kind of mentioned, 2 separate universes that converge because of the source wall. The source wall separates the 2.
Yeah.
The ending is definitely like, they might as well have, like, let's have a dance party.
Yeah.
That's how it felt a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no cliffhanger for like a potential later threat. It's just like, yep, nope, Darkseid's done.
Are we sure Metron didn't come back and like continue this plan? Or like what was set up here?
I don't think so. I mean, he's
Okay.
a good guy mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing that, like, you know, if you're familiar with the New Gods, maybe, you know, you're all like, what? Metron's, like, you know, having an uneasy truce with Darkseid? Like, that's weird.
Fair enough. I saw some newer images or like depictions of Metron, and I thought he looked awesome. Like,
Okay.
I really enjoyed his costume design.
Cool. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people who are fans of, like, the New Gods Fourth World. You know, Jack Kirby's Fourth World is what that's kind of officially called. But yeah, I think, you know, both me and Shuenta said that we like the art a lot. But, like, yeah, in particular, there is some really good, you know, just like, you know, wide establishing shots. You know, even like the close up of Darkseid when Kitty sees him, you know, in the shadows. It's like, and yeah, just multiple like instances. There was a couple here and there where it was like, I don't know, you look weird to me, you know, like,
Darkseid?
Not Darkseid specifically, but just like characters.
Oh, okay.
But
Some sparkly, cute eyes
yeah,
at certain moments.
See, I thought Darkseid looked weird in the beginning when they were trying to shroud him in darkness.
he did look a little weird then.
I suspect that might have been the scans, you know,
Mhm.
since you
Yeah,
can't
maybe.
really buy this comic.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Read
guess
the read scans.
right. Yeah, this comic is very, very out of print and probably never will be in print again. Because it is a collaboration from Marvel and DC, and they don't work together
Never
anymore.
again.
Dang.
Yeah,
It was the hatching, or yeah, I guess it was cross hatching. No, just the hatching. I think in general that I really liked.
Okay.
Cool.
It was expertly done at times.
You say expertly done?
No, because there's no eggs. You can't make that joke.
But it hatches. That was good.
No, the way you make that joke is it's about a phoenix.
Oh, that's good.
Making your jokes better for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Cody.
Connected.
I should charge you.
Okay.
But
Would
yeah.
you read more, I guess?
See, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I'm familiar with the work of Walt Simonson and Terry Austin, you know? So I'm like...
Were they the people behind the New Teen Titans?
No. So the only person behind the New Teen Titans that worked on this was the editor, Len Wein.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I said that up front. But yeah, so he was the only DC liaison who edited New Teen
Fair
Titans. And that is kind of why this is, like, you know, Shuenta said, mostly an X-Men story. You know, it had Chris Claremont, who writes the X-Men. Terry Austin is the inker for the X-Men. Walt Simonson, he is writer, artist for Thor at this time. He will also work with his wife on X-Force later on.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so very, you know, everybody is Marvel people in these credits.
That was very similar to the last crossover, where it's like,
yeah,
they were DC mostly.
Yeah, mostly people that worked on Batman 66 and not people who worked on Archie. Except for Dan Parent, though. At least they had an artist that was
the official artist.
The official artist, yeah.
As far as crossovers, I didn't particularly care for their interactions.
Yeah.
Or, they weren't bad, but they just weren't that interesting. A lot of it was like, whoa, these characters are similar. Watch them walk alongside each other.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that, like, I agree, and I don't wish this, but I think I would have probably been more invested if, like, their interaction had more of an impact going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, like, I think the most fun interactions were their thought bubbles where they were like, thinking about, each other, like Raven being all like, oh man, Wolverine is like, he
full of
like
darkness.
he's full of darkness and
violence.
yeah. And then Wolverine's like, man, I really Raven's really spooked by me. I wonder why.
Freaking her out. That's her problem. But yeah, they just have that short thing and they fight. I wonder if like them meeting sooner would have helped a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Or what I think would have a good thing to do with the amount of page space that this had would have been to break them up into like 3 groups where the teams are mixed, and then
teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that way, it's like, maybe you wanted, 2 characters to interact more that you didn't get to see, but, they would have a little bit more time to develop relationships, Yeah.
Yeah, it always feels a little too simple when it's like similar characters with similar characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these characters, well, like, X-Men is accused of like being very similar to Doom Patrol, which is connected to this only because Changeling is part of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, no, I think, Doom Patrol is the controversy there is just that it's like, basically there might have been, an inkling of that idea, out at DC when it first began, and then it was like, oh yeah, we can do that too, kind of thing. But at this point, like 20 years later, both teams are very different.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, and then, the X-Men and the Teen Titans get compared just because they're both like, popular. They both have like runs that are defined by their writer, basically. Yeah, so that's kind of why they got paired up.
Gotcha. Yeah. I thought what was interesting was like, in terms of things that didn't make any sense because it had no impact, was that one moment when Cyclops was seeing Jean Grey or the Phoenix like be like tortured by the emotions or something like that. I mean, maybe it might have been a little bit before that.
When?
It like when they were underneath in the cave, I believe, is when that happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and I guess I'm lost on.
I haven't finished what I'm saying.
You're doing that, yeah.
Okay.
So Cyclops was like seeing it happen.
Oh! I know what you're talking about. Yes,
he was
that is definitely a detail that requires reading the Phoenix Saga. Basically,
okay.
Is that basically they created Jean Grey and Cyclops created a permanent mind link to each other where, they could like, always, communicate no matter the distance, and they like, could feel each other basically on a telepathic, way.
So, but like, to me, like what he said was something along the lines of like, oh man, I can't bear to see her be hurt. Like, I almost want to do something. And it was, to me, that was weird because he didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it's like him saying that made no sense to me. Like, it had no impact.
Yeah, it definitely was like, it was just a recognition, I guess, of like how he feels, but like with no follow through.
Yeah.
It's just
and then to me, I was like, well, at least Kitty Pryde saying that the changeling was cute had an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, at least that had like some consequences, but not followed through consequences either. They're like basically like
everybody might as well be just high-fiving at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was thinking.
Do a better crossover.
Yeah, really, and I also like because I was choosing between this one and JLA Avengers.
Oh yeah.
And basically I kind of like tried to look at like reviews and stuff like that. I was like, well, which one do I think is going to be better, you know? And you know, I think I saw other reviews, but like here on the Wikipedia page for this one, it was like Claremont courageously defies tradition by filling an unbalanced basket of guest stars, and Walt Simonson's first-rate pencils contribute to the finest Marvel DC co-production. And
Not like an underhanded compliment. They're like,
Yeah.
they're courageous for doing something pretty bad, like unbalanced.
And then somebody else says it is one of the most well-received crossovers of its time, or of any time for that matter. And a third person, still the greatest event comic ever. And I was like,
how is it an event comic? My understanding may be more modern, but
yeah, I think it's just in terms of like this comic coming out is an event, but not
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, though, but yeah, no, all three of those, I was like, dang, like, you know, I read those and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll definitely, like, you know, the JLA Avengers, it doesn't say anything like that, you know? So...
Okay, I think this is like the third or fourth comic that we have read where it's like, this is very critically reviewed and accepted, that we're all like, nah.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
but think about how old this comic is.
Yeah.
How many years exactly?
True, but I'm just like, maybe I'd rather just ignore the reviews.
Yeah. Also, I will say that the still the greatest comic ever, greatest event comic ever. That was written by a Nerdist writer in 2018.
Oh, okay.
So
I think I saw
what
an
you're
article about that.
I
don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
Well, Nerdist. You know what Nerdist is, right?
Yeah. It's just a
publication, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them. So the comic is like 40 years old.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't. I think that I was
underwhelming.
Underwhelming, and I think that the critical response definitely gave me more to look forward to than what was there. But at the same time, I didn't have like a lot of like, you know, there are other things where it's like it might have a certain critical response, but also there's just a public perception of it that we've definitely reviewed more negative leaning, at least. And it's like, wow, this is like surprising, you know? But yeah, this one was a little bit more, you know, on the side of like, okay, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but yeah, it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, in general, I was just like, I didn't have any expectations going in, and so I was just kind of like, that's all right.
Yeah.
Regular comic, I think I'd be more lenient on it, but them to be like, this is a crazy crossover, and then they just do this.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. You guys have any final thoughts on it, though? Interested to read more Chris Claremont or see more of the art of Walt Simonson? I will say Shuenta, they in his Thor run, briefly Thor gets turned into a frog.
Well, I have to see that drawing.
Yeah.
Oh, frog.
Why
and
frog?
he's in a tiny little Thor suit.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're being serious right now, Shuenta.
No.
I'm being serious.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I still want to see that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, this comic didn't really do that for me. Yeah. I'm not opposed to it. It just doesn't make me want to seek it out.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like I know the quality of the other two series that they are bringing together. This one is not a good metric to judge those two by.
Gotcha.
I would say. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to get through too, though. So if you're like even moderately interested, I wouldn't say it's bad to check it out, you know? Yeah, and it's not buyable, so.
Yeah, I mean, I did see something on Amazon. So if you wanted to buy it physically, if it was Amazon, you probably could.
Yeah, from a collector. It's
yeah.
expensive. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for listening. This has been the Comic Panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
And I'm Shawenta.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel as it helps us out on the YouTube algorithms and getting us seen by more and more people. You can also reach out to us with any thoughts you have on the things we talked about on Twitter at TheComicPanel1 and on Instagram and Facebook at The Comic Panel. Also, if you want to leave a comment, please do. Let us continue the conversation.